Howdy folks, my name is Brian Ellis, and today we're going to be talking about
to modulate to E half sharp major.
So this is a tutorial video on how you can go about designing modulations to take you to microtonal keys. This video is of course inspired by homeboy Jacob Collier's In the Bleak Midwinter, where he modulates from E major to G half sharp major in the space of 4 very special chords. These chords are super special, but they have so many stacked color notes on top of them that it's kind of hard to tell exactly what is going on. So today, we are going to be building our very own modulation to a microtonal key that is based purely on simple triads with one optional dominant 7. Let's get going. First things first, game plan. We are going to navigate this modulation by exploiting the differences between just intonation and equal temperament tuning systems. Really quick background on tuning systems. A tuning system is a method to determine which tones or pitches should be used when playing a piece of music. In other words, it is a process to say if your scale should sound like this, or like this. Equal temperament is the standard in Western classical music. If you go sit down at a piano or MIDI keyboard or guitar and play something, you'll be playing in equal temperament. The space between the notes in equal temperament are based off of this formula, which allows you to calculate the frequency ratios of any interval. For example, if I were to play a major third, 4 semitones, above an A440, you would see that I would end up with a C sharp with a frequency of 554.37 hertz and change. Just intonation, however, is an older tuning system that relies on building intervals out of simple ratios between frequencies. This results in an interval's upper note sounding more in tune with its lower note, as the overtones of the two notes are more aligned. A major third in just intonation has a ratio of 5:4. When we apply that to our A440, we end up with a C sharp with a frequency of 550 hertz. Notice how this is a full 4.37 hertz lower than equal temperament. So, for a major third, a distance of 4 semitones, you have a ratio of 5:4, which in decimal is 1.25, compared to the equal temperament ratio of 1.25992 and change. This difference is measured in something called cents. The octave is divided up into 12 semitones, and each semitone can further be divided into 100 cents. When we play a C sharp in equal temperament, it is 4 semitones or 400 cents above A. But when we play a C sharp in just intonation, it is 14 cents flatter than an equal temperament, and so it is only 386 cents above A. We see in our chart to get from C sharp over A in equal temperament to C sharp over A in just intonation, we need to play about 14 cents lower or flatter than usual. This is what the whole chart looks like. Brian, this is great and all, but how do we modulate? Basic plan of attack for this modulation. We are going to modulate from C to E half sharp using this chord progression that modulates from C to F, and every time we transition chords, we will keep some pitches from one chord to the next exactly the same, but we will tune the rest of the chord in either equal temperament or just intonation, so that way the whole chord moves in the direction we want to go. In this case, from F to E half sharp, we want to go down. E half sharp major is halfway in between E and F, so it is 50 cents beneath F. we're going to be looking for a transition that will drop us close to 50 cents. There are 3 intervals whose tunings differ in just intonation and equal temperament that we are going to utilize when doing this modulation. These are the major third, the perfect fifth, and the minor third. Let's look at the first 2 chords in the progression, C to A minor. Starting off here, we have the notes of the C major triad. You'll notice that this is not in root position. This is only looking at the right hand. If we look at the chart, we will see that the major third in just intonation is slightly flatter than it is in equal temperament. We're going to take that high E and shift it down 14 cents. So that way when we transition to the A minor, we can keep that E the same and shift the entire rest of the chord down 14 cents. Now, 14 cents is great, but we can actually do a little better. If we look back at the chart, we see that there's another interval that we can exploit. The perfect fifth in just intonation is slightly sharper than in equal temperament. So what we're going to do is, looking at that same high E, we are going to bring it up slightly 2 cents. Now, instead of dropping the A minor chord 14 cents, we are instead going to drop it 16 cents and re-sharpen the high E up 2 more cents to make it 14 cents to be the same as the E in the C major chord. So now, in the course of 1 chord change, we've dropped 16 cents. Now, what we've done here will serve as the example for the rest of this modulation. We are going to be trying to flatten a common pitch on the left side, and we are going to be trying to sharpen that same common pitch on the right side. Cases where we can do this are where we can exploit these differences between just intonation and equal temperament to accomplish this transition down to E half sharp major. Each time I introduce a new chord here, we are going to be resetting it back to 0, so that way we don't have to do too much mental gymnastics as we go. We'll string them together at the end. The next transition in our chord progression, we are again going to be exploiting this slightly sharp perfect fifth. If we look at the A minor we had from the previous chord, we're going to be transitioning to some kind of F major. We're going to see how far we can drop this chord. Now, you remember I said we were going to be using a perfect fifth. Well, it doesn't look like there's a perfect fifth in this chord. No worries, remember I said we're only looking at the right hand. There is an F in the left hand in the bass, so our C does form a perfect fifth with that F. That C we can sharp again by 2 cents and use that to bring the entire F chord down 2 cents. So that way the C from the A minor is the same C that we hear in F major. For our third transition, we're going to be looking at using the minor third. The chord we're going to be starting with is the F major with the slightly sharpened C, and we're going to be going to some kind of D minor. We're going to see how far we can drop it. Referring to our chart again, we see that the minor third in just intonation is slightly sharper than it is in equal temperament. Therefore, we can sharpen this F by 16 cents. Again, we're now going to shift this entire D minor chord down 16 cents, so that way with the sharpened F, it is the same F that we hear as the top note of F major. For the next transition, we're going to not change the tuning system. You keep the tuning system the same, and you play the pitches as they would be. Now, if you'll notice, we are at C dominant 7, so we are close to being able to resolve to our F major, which after we add up all of the previous drops, we will see will be close to E half sharp major. We will again flatten the major third of the C dominant 7, and use that flattened third as the leading tone to an entirely flattened F major triad. You'll notice that this adjustment to the C dominant 7 chord, we do need to go make sure it still fits in with the D minor to C dominant 7 transition we had. So to recap, we flatten the major third and sharpen the perfect fifth to go from C major to A minor, 16 cents flatter. From an A minor, we can drop 2 more cents by sharpening the perfect fifth in F major. From an F major, we can go down 16 more cents by sharpening the minor third. From D minor to C dominant 7, we can not change. And from C dominant 7, we can place a big emphasis on that leading tone to resolve up to F, flattening that major third in the leading tone such that the entire F is 14 cents more flat. Now we get to string them all together. We have our C to A minor. When we add on our F chord is 2 cents flatter than our A minor chord, so it will be a total of 18 cents flatter, so that way those C's are still both only 16 cents flatter than equal temperament. And now, because PowerPoint is not an ideal notation system, we'll be transitioning to just the staves. D minor was 16 cents more flat than F major, so we can string them together, keeping those high Fs the same and bringing the total displacement of our D minor down 34 cents. And we're going to maintain this 34 cent offset as we enter our C dominant 7 chord. And we're going to keep that 48 cent offset for our high E as we resolve it up to the high F, off of which the entire F major triad will be based. And you'll notice that we have now arrived at F major, 48 cents more flat than we expect it to be. Now, block chords like this make it really challenging to emphasize the right pitches as we move between chords. Let's try it again as a simple song. And here's that same song again with our microtonal modulation. Now, we've walked through one of these microtonal modulations, but there are tons more, and there are so many different varieties of ways to modulate between these different microtonal keys, just using this same trick of exploiting the differences between just intonation and equal temperament. So now that we've done one, go try out one of your own and let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear some of y'all's different modulations. Thanks for watching!